So we got another one. It is Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. And today, we were talking about Crawford. Well, I guess we were talking about the whole card, right? The main card for Crawford versus Madrimov. Very excited about this fight. So today we were having a nice little, I guess, illustrative scenario on how that fight's going to happen. Maybe. I don't know if we dove deep on the details about it, but yeah. Shout out to my boy Rapstar Boxing. Check out his channel. Sometimes he gets some good banter up in that channel if you want to talk boxing. But anyways, yeah, welcome. Shout out to all the boxing fans worldwide, and let's continue on this strictly boxing talk. So, Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov, right? It's really good amateur pedigree from Uzbekistan, going against the badass Terence Bud Crawford. Right, so we were talking about how is this style gonna play out, and looking at some quick highlights, I guess, of the last two fights apiece. I will say that I think the very best of Crawford is gonna show up on this fight. I think Madrimov has a particular style that's gonna make Crawford, be super athletic in this fight. And what I mean by that is we know Terence Crawford is amazing at counterpunching on the back foot and on the front foot, and has really good timing. And he's seen it all. So one of the key factors, I guess, we can talk about, I guess, gloves, right? Gloves, because now Terence Crawford is going into 154 territory, and he's going to be using 10-ounce gloves, right? So will that diminish the speed just a slight bit? Maybe probably about 1 or 2%. I mean, yeah, the ounces do make a difference, believe it or not. But as I was stating earlier in the podcast with some other mates, in that we know that Terence Crawford has really good disciplined strength and conditioning. So he has a lot of really good core strength. So as far as it being 10-ounce glove, I think it's actually to his advantage. Terence Crawford has pretty big hands, man. Long hands, and his knuckles are pretty much torn up. So that's to his advantage. So what would they call that? Casted up on the knuckles. Forgot what the technical term is, but anyhow, I think 10-ounce gloves are going to be perfect for Terence Crawford here forward, and let's see how he looks at 154. So one thing that I'm noticing though, and if you guys know me, I go by the name Switchhitter. So Israel Madrimov, I just saw some recent leaked footage of him sparring, also doing some switch hitting. He's actually just fighting purely in southpaw mode, and we know that Terence Crawford loves to fight in southpaw, orthodox. So he's always switching it up in fight. And I'm wondering if the Madrimov team had purposely leaked out that footage. I believe you can check out the footage on a channel called Little Giant Boxing. They had recently just posted some old footage. But anyhow, Madrimov looks good southpaw. And so one of the other key factors Terence Crawford is good at when he's fighting orthodox fighter is his American jab. And I think the American jab, Terence Crawford is pretty much the best at it in the game, in my opinion. He shoots it off gracefully. He's got a lot of power in his jabs. So that's something that I think they know. If Madrimov comes in orthodox, Madrimov always likes to dig deep. He does a lot of body jabs. So I can foresee that whenever Madrimov tries to, do jabs to the body, I think that's where Crawford is best known with his counter right hook, his check hook, and that's a dangerous move if you're when you're charging up on Crawford, or even if it's like a regular stance, if it's a chestmate stance. I just see this fight going pretty easily for Crawford if you want to be truth about it. But anyhow, Madrimov, I had saw some footage on him fighting what's his cat's name, Igboke, I think Rafael Boke from down south Houston, pretty tall guy. I would say he's like his upper physique was very, very heavy, kind of like when Jared Hurd was fighting at 154 pounds. It did blow up at least 25 pounds on fight night. But anyhow, he was able to, meaning Madrimov, was able to take his power quite easily. But I mean, that's not a I guess that's not a good reference to if we, when we're talking about betting and we're talking about Terence Crawford. Of course, that's not they're not on the same level. But also, let's talk about Madrimov and his last fight against Kubanov, if I'm saying that correctly. Kurbanov or Kubanov. Another big guy, also very big guy, very very heavy-handed. And I think after seeing the fights, I think that's probably Madrimov's best performance yet. I like Madrimov. I like his athleticism, his showmanship. I would say, before I forget, if Madrimov comes in to fight the way he did against Michael Sora, against Crawford, it's going to be an easy night for Crawford, in my opinion. Just because, that was more of like a chess match as well, just boxing from the outside. And it's, I could just see if Madrimov comes into this fight like that fight, I think Terence Crawford, just pieces him up with the jab for an easy unanimous decision going 12, of course. But I will say that though I like Madrimov's footwork, his pivoting angles are just fun to watch. That's really popular actually in the Soviet bloc of fighting. They like to do that type of movement. Pivoting out and switching up left and right with but as we know, that's I think if Madrimov comes and does that against Terence Crawford, I think that's going to actually ignite Terence Crawford to reciprocate in the same type of footwork on the back foot, okay, or who knows, even on the front foot as well. And I would say from the eye test, we know that Mean Machine was also an Olympian. I think he's a 2-time Olympian. So I would say that as far as ring IQ, I would say, Mean Machine is a lot better than Madrimov. But, of course, Madrimov is bigger. They're probably about the same height, but Madrimov has just got huge back muscle. So a lot of that power is real in his power punching, of course. And so when I'm looking at, Crawford versus Mean Machine, I'm like, it's still going to be hard for Madrimov to get shots either from the outside. I think Madrimov has a better shot at doing an inside fight game than fighting at the outside, of course. And speaking of which, looking at tape and looking at Crawford's styles and choices of shots, I think Crawford is actually going to do pretty good in this fight doing uppercuts if Madrimov decides to, barge in or even do inside fighting. I think Madrimov has to be very careful with Crawford's uppercuts on the inside. Okay, but the other thing that's kind of turned me off on watching Crawford's last fights, of course, aside from the Spence fight, was the fight against Mean Machine against David Avanesian, because David Avanesian, in my opinion, good fighter, very gritty fighter, but his ring IQ is not as good as Mean Machine or I guess even that of Madrimov. Just completely different styles. I think Terence Crawford is. I think, Crawford always shows up different strategies for different opponents. So that's one thing that's great about Crawford, is he knows how to switch it up when needed, or if he's down on the cards, he'll just change the style completely. And of course, he's a switch hitter, so he can go left and right when need be, as he did when he turned it up against Sean Porter. And let me just quickly on the Errol Spence fight, we were talking about that earlier. In my opinion, in the whole legacy of Errol Spence is just a kind of a tragedy and the downfall of him after that car crash, because enduring those facial injuries from the jaw or even the eye, you're not the same fighter anymore. And we were saying that about when Canelo pretty much pieced up Billy Joe Saunders and broke that orbital bone and other parts of the jaw. Just that type of reconstructive healing is just it's a permanent damage. And of course, Billy Joe Saunders he's not fighting anymore. Even aside from him making a nice payday against Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders, he's kind of a warrior too, and he's got that gypsy blood, so he'd want to fight again, for more money. And I just think he's been advised to not continue, at least for now, considering the injuries he's had towards his face, and sometimes when these guys are they're sparring and these things that we don't know, there are probably some recurring injuries that we don't know about, and that's why it's even more of a long layoff. Kind of like what happened with Errol Spence when he was fighting Yordanis Ugas. We were saying earlier that probably some theory is that maybe he was advised meaning Ugas was advised to go light on Spence. My other mate was saying that that Errol Spence's gloves looked a little bit different, whatever. But the thing is, I think Errol Spence after that car crash was just not the same, and that's why we couldn't get the Manny Pacquiao fight, because I think Manny Pacquiao would have pieced him up too, because Manny Pacquiao is a very, very hard hitter, man. He's very explosive, and I think it would have been too much for Errol Spence, in my honest opinion. But anyway, shout out to Errol Spence. Hope he's doing well, and best of luck to him, and the best for his future here forward. Make that money and be safe. But anyways, back to Madrimov and Crawford. Yeah, so I think one of the things that Madrimov needs to be careful is with Crawford's uppercut on the inside. Because some things I don't like about Madrimov is sometimes he seems a bit sloppy. When he lunges in and he does either like an overhand or even a left hand, he kind of like ducks or cowers, and he's not looking on horizon level. And sometimes you can get caught with that. With a guy like Crawford who can see everything and his timing is impeccable, he'll be able to see when Madrimov's head's down and he's not looking. He'll probably get him, either on the top of the temple or maybe with another uppercut. But I think Terence Crawford's bread and butter in this fight is the nice American jab. And I want to say American jab because Terence Crawford really he knows how to control the distance and the range with that jab, especially when I'm talking southpaw as well. So southpaw, that long extended hard jab, and in his nice right hook. It's just, I think that's what Crawford's gonna do really well against Madrimov in that. And I think honestly it's gonna be like a unanimous decision for Terence Crawford. Will Terence Crawford touch the canvas this time? Who knows? It depends on how Terence Crawford wants to fight. What I mean by wanting to fight, he just saw some recent gossip and news about his young little protege in Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur Stevenson's getting a lot of heat lately for not really letting his hands go for the fans, or I guess the casual general boxing fan. You need to show more risk in the ring, and who knows, maybe Terence Crawford now at 154. More eyes are on him. He's having a better relationship with this new guy, Turki Al-Sheikh. So there's kind of a lot of pressure on him as well as other affiliates like Shakur Stevenson. There's all these eyes are on them. So maybe if Terence Crawford, if he needs to show up more, means he might have to risk out of his comfort zone in this fight and maybe try and go for a knockout that we haven't seen before. Why? Because of course he might get the Canelo fight. Is that possible? Who knows? But what we do know is that Terence Crawford and Turki Al-Sheikh have had better relations as of late, ever since Turki Al-Sheikh has blown up in the last months, delivering some great fights for us. So that's that. So to recap, I think again, Terence Crawford, his bread and butter in this fight is going to be the jab in southpaw mode. I don't recommend I don't recommend Crawford switching it up in this fight, orthodox more than southpaw. But who knows? Like I said, I saw Madrimov in that recent sparring clip. He was full southpaw and he looked really, really good, And I think if the way I can only see Madrimov winning in this fight is not going to be by a type of KO stoppage, of course. I think it's just going to be a very smart tactical, because the guy has got pretty good stamina. He's very athletic. So if he can fight from the outside, do a lot of pivoting, something that I guess Crawford hasn't seen before in a real fight, and especially at 154 pounds now with 10-ounce gloves. Who knows? Maybe Madrimov might get away with some rounds, winning maybe some fans or some judges with his amazing pivoting moves. But I think if Crawford comes in fighting the way he did against the Kurbanov fight, because he looks really good in the Kurbanov fight, in my honest opinion. And he was very selective on his shots, and he just played a really, really good strategy. So if he comes in that fight, I think it's a better chance at dethroning, or I guess defending his belt against Terence Crawford at 154 pounds. So we'll see. But right now, my pick is Terence Crawford by unanimous decision against Israel Madrimov. But good luck to both guys. Maybe I'll make another video. I'm sure I will. But let me know what you guys think on the comment section. So peace out, y'all, and I'm on to the next.